What is up, guys? Welcome back to yet another brand new Major Ben gaming video. I do hope you guys are having a fantastic day as always. Today we're going to be talking about the Xbox Series I was going to say X, but no, we're going to be talking about the S today. Rocksteady developer thinks that the Xbox Series S is actually going to hold back this entire generation of games. This is some big news. This is something that has been mentioned previously, but for such a big developer to actually say something like this is, I must admit, pretty concerning. So, a senior developer at Rocksteady Studios shared on Twitter that he believes that the Xbox Series S console has hamstrung an entire generation of video games. A conversation has started online regarding game development following news that Gotham Knights will launch only supporting 30 FPS on consoles despite being PS5 and Xbox Series X/S exclusive. This has prompted, obviously PC as well, by the way, but what I mean by that is not previous generation. This has prompted some to make strong statements regarding why some games may be constrained and making the Series S a prime target. A post from Gotham Knights developer Fleur Marty on Discord is what started today's complex and controversial discourse. Marty explained that Gotham Knights would not feature a performance mode, a mode that usually sacrifices resolution and graphics features from frame rate, such like every other game basically that's existed up to this point. There's always been that toggle. Sometimes there's been a toggle of adding ray tracing as well. As such, Gotham Knights will only support 30 FPS on console. Developer Warner Bros. Has said that the decision has been criticized by players who wanted Gotham Knights to support 60 FPS. So, in a series of tweets, Rocksteady's senior character technical artist Lee DeVonald joined the conversation regarding Gotham Knights. At first, his focus is on addressing what 60 FPS means and the trade-offs necessary to reach that. He says it's especially important considering we have a current next-gen console that's not much better than the last one. He then responds to a question about a hardware bottleneck and specifically mentions the Xbox Series S GPU with multi-platform games having to optimize for the lowest platform. So, I will put the tweets up on screen so you guys can sort of pause and read through them as well, but he seriously goes in on the Xbox Series S. Like, he really goes in on that console. And as I say, I'll have the tweets on screen throughout this bit because it's pretty mad what he's saying. Like, for example, with the Series S GPU mostly, multi-platform games always have to optimize for the lowest platformer. The Series S exists, though, and the Microsoft won't let you launch on one without the other. An entire generation of games hamstrung by that potato. Like, he literally calls out the Series S for being a potato. So we'll have a little read through this, but another follow-up tweet from DeVonald showed just how little the senior developer thinks of the Xbox Series S. He says that there is an entire generation of games hamstrung by that potato. The reason why the generation is hamstrung isn't just because the Xbox Series S exists, though. DeVonald explains that Microsoft won't let you launch on one console without the other. So if it goes on the Series X, it must be able to run on the Series S. It's this requirement which must be met for a multi-platform game to launch on Xbox consoles whatsoever. Paired with the Xbox Series S comparably less powerful GPU, that explains why Donald believes the generation is hamstrung. To DeVonald's credit, he has since apologized for his post regarding the Xbox Series S. Twitter users pointed out that DeVonald called for respect for developers is hypocritical if he's doing so while attacking Microsoft's Xbox Series S developers in the same breath, which is very, very true. He also clarifies that while Rocksteady has the same parent company as Gotham Knights developer W Games Montreal, he is completely unfamiliar with the project and doesn't know anything about its development or what may be limiting the game. A lengthy post from Donald to close out his thoughts and step away from the conversation makes no mention of the Xbox Series S, but does say that the problems there might be with the current console generation are likely not for the reasons that the decision has been made behind Gotham Knights' 30 FPS cap. He says that he wanted to educate regarding some of the trials that occur in development and that development Teams should always be free to make their game their way. Further, he reiterates that any level of developer abuse or harassment is wrong and needs to stop, something that everyone should be able to agree with. And I fully agree with that statement. Developers should never be harassed. These are the jobs that they are not controlling. They are being told you need to do this, that, and the other. They are just developing the game. You should never harass them, whether it's something as big as Cyberpunk or not. It's not their fault. It's upper management. Not that you should harass upper management either. You shouldn't harass anybody. But it's not people's fault. This is just, sometimes it happens and it's disappointing. Vent your frustration on Twitter out loud and they will read that. Don't attack the people responsible for doing it. You can say, oh, I'm disappointed, but don't go and attack people personally. It's just not fair. So what do I think about this? Now, in the end of the day, it is true. The Xbox Series S, in some ways, is going to hold back certain games. Every single game must be capable of running on the Xbox Series S. So the problem is with this conversation is at this time, the minimum specs are still the lowest on PC. Unfortunately, PC is still actually the one holding back the generation because the minimum specs for a lot of games are actually lower than what is in the Series S. So although, yes, the Series S will hold back the generation in the future because the PC minimum specs will be updated very soon. It's something that's going to happen. It's not going to be a 1060 anymore. When that happens, and maybe it's going to be a 1080 or a 2060, then yes, the Series S will be the thing holding back the next generation. So it's very difficult because in the end of the day, this developer is somebody who knows stuff. He knows more than what me and you know in the industry. He just does. He's a game developer. He understands, and you can tell by what he's saying on Twitter. I have a basic understanding of a lot of this stuff, but you can tell what he's saying on Twitter a lot of the time, not insulting consoles and insulting companies and stuff, but what he's saying about specs is true. When PC specs do get updated, the lowest system will be the Series S. And if that Series S didn't exist, the lowest system would then be PC because the PC lowest spec will still be lower than the Series X. So yes, the Series S will hold back this generation once PC specs are updated for minimum spec, but I don't think it's fair to say that the Series S is going to hold back the entire generation of games. And as he's even said, it's not the reason Gotham Knights is running at 30 FPS. Do I think that people should be complaining about 30 FPS games on a console? No. Like, if you wanted 60 FPS games and you can afford a PC, your best bet would be to go out and buy a PC. Now, I fully understand that not everybody can go out and buy a £2,000, £3,000 computer. People can't. I couldn't myself until recently when I got my new job and I started getting more money. I got lucky. I got a good job and I managed to buy myself an RTX 3080 with a i7 12900K. But my Series X here, wherever the hell it is, this side, this Series X here is one that I played on for countless hours. A lot of the games were 60 FPS, but that is going to change inevitably. You're not going to be able to get 60 FPS games forever on this console. They are only £450 or $450 consoles, depending where you are. They're not going to be able to do that. And if you really, really care about gaming and you have the money to afford a PC, then you should go and buy a PC. But you can't expect developers to consistently develop 60 FPS games if it's not the way they want them. At the end of the day, we don't matter. All of us don't matter. If a developer wants to develop a game at 30 FPS and they believe it's not possible to get it to run at 60, whether you think it is or not, and I think it is or not, it doesn't matter. That's what they want to do. And there are tons of developers who are going to want to prioritize graphics because it makes their game look better on the trailers and stuff over frame rate. A lot of developers don't care. They're selling these games to people who don't really care. They just go out and buy the game. They just want to play the game. They don't look into all this stuff like me and you. They're not as, into gaming. They just buy the game because the last Batman games were great. I'm just going to buy the next Arkham game. And like one of my friends, he doesn't look into all this stuff. He's already pre-ordered the game on Xbox Series X. He doesn't care about buying a massive PC and stuff. He just wants to play the latest Arkham game because he thinks, the last ones are great. I have told him about this, but he doesn't care. He's not interested. A lot of people aren't, and the developers know this. They cater to the larger audiences. You got to remember, the people like you who are watching this video video and me who is making this video, we deep dive into everything. We're interested in looking into everything. It caters our decisions on whether we buy games or not. I'm going to buy this game on PC at some point, not at launch, because I don't think it appeals to me that much, but I would like to test it out. But, you know, they're not going to keep catering to everybody, and these consoles only have so much power in them. They just do. But I think in this scenario, Gotham Knights, the developers and the owners of the company who are making this game are not putting the effort they should be into this game, because this game, if it runs 1080p, let's say, on a Series S, then it should be able to have an option for 1080p on Series X at 60 FPS. If you see what I'm saying, maybe more than 1080p. If you can get this thing to run at 30 FPS on a Series S at 1080p, you could have a performance mode at 1080p on Series X. You just could. Like, I'm sorry, but you just could do that. The Series X is that much more powerful than the Series S that it should have a 60 FPS option, but it doesn't. That's just the reality of it. It doesn't have that option. And if you want to get guaranteed 60 FPS games, and if you got the money to do it, your best bet is to go out and buy a PC, hook it up to the TV like I have, and play there. Honestly, it's the best experience. I want to do a video on it showing how I do it, because I have my controller that can control my entire PC. I launch Steam with my controller. I don't need to touch my PC. Everything just works from my controller like a console would, with Steam, with any launcher that I like. Native 4K gaming, 60 FPS, sometimes 120 FPS, depending on the game, at native 4K. And soon I'm going to get my RTX 4090, and that will be 120 FPS, native 4K, and pretty much everything except maybe Cyberpunk. But that's it for this video. It's very questionable, the stuff that they've said, but let me know what you guys think down below. I don't want to say whether they're right or wrong, but let me know what you think, so I'm always interested to hear your opinion. Thank you so much for watching my video. I hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your day. Please do consider liking and subscribing, and I'll see you in future videos. Bye-bye for now, guys.